Hello lovelies, welcome back. I'm Charlie.
I'm Jordan.
And we are here to answer even more of your questions. So Jordan.
Oh, get straight into it. Go for it.
Straight into it. Would you say that you have a very specific style for the books? I know what I think.
Yeah.
But go.
Yeah, I do. That doesn't sound very convincing. I do. No, I do. It's difficult because I think a lot of people, one of the big questions I get is obviously, why is it watercolours?
Why watercolour?
And obviously the original reason for that was because Horatio was never actually meant for children to begin with. It was for my nan. So I drew him, obviously, as we discussed before, in the first lockdown. And it was originally a way to cheer up my nan because my nan was so miserable that she hadn't seen me or her great-grandchildren or anything like that. And she loves pigs. She would have a pet pig if she could.
I'm so on Team Pet Pig.
My granddad would have a heart attack. So I drew him as a way of cheering her up, and then she loved him so much, and then obviously I shared it with you because I share all my artwork with you, and that's how it kind of started. And then when we decided to turn it into an actual book, it felt wrong to go back and redraw them in a cartoon style, because obviously I know it's not a very typical kids style, but obviously the reason we wanted it was for it to be for everybody in the family as well. So as much as kids enjoy it, it's also for the adults and, well, whomever is reading it, to the children of that age group. So I wanted it to be something that appealed to everybody. And also taking inspiration from, like, older books that we kind of grew up with, like Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Beatrix Potter books. They were never, like, cartoony ones like Meg and Mog as an example. They were very much watercolours and, like, tiny little snippets. They never really took up the full page.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I took my inspiration from, because they were my favourite books to read when I was a kid.
That's one of the things I loved most about that very first picture that you sent me of Horatio holding that massive mug of hot chocolate. It was so nostalgic.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we grew up with the Each Peach Pear Plums and the Funny Bones and all those things that children still love today. Well, at least I hope they do, because I keep reading them to children today. But you then talk about the Winnie the Poohs and the Beatrix Potter stories, and it's just memories of those quiet times sharing a story with an adult.
And that's where I took a lot of the inspiration from. So yeah, I would definitely say I do. I never want to not draw them in that style.
Yeah.
I would never want to go back and draw them as cartoons, because I mean they are, but I would find that strange. It wouldn't be the same.
No, Horatio is Horatio.
Yeah, exactly that. Another one of my favourite questions we get asked a lot is, are people surprised when they meet us?
Yes. Every time.
Massively so.
Every time. I mean, not people that we've known sort of from a distance who meet us in person for the first time.
Yeah.
Because they get to know us over email and over text. But particularly people who interview us or people who get to know us through creative outlets, they're always so surprised. And the big one is they always think that we're men.
Yeah.
With names like Jordan and Charlie, we rock up and they're like, okay.
You're a female, yes.
Like, where are the Horatio
common.
people?
Yeah, that's a really common one, actually. I hadn't thought about that. That's the most... That is the
always
most surprised. They're always really shocked.
And it's
I'm like,
always funny.
yeah, it's always funny. Especially with a name like Jordan. You think I'd have got over it by now, but it's still entertaining.
Yeah.
I also think because we're so very different in everyday life,
Yes.
I think people are quite surprised how different we are, but how close we are. But that's been the same since we were like...
We have been called an unlikely pair.
Yeah.
It's so true. Because we are opposites. Complete
Pretty much
opposites.
in every way, yeah.
Right down to our pets.
Yeah.
You have the most beautiful black kitten.
Yeah.
And I have the most beautiful white puppy dog. And they're best friends.
Yeah, they are.
Like, they're
super cute. Yeah, no, I think people are very surprised. I found that when we've had like magazine interviews and stuff as well, when they're really surprised, especially when we send pictures.
Yes.
They're really shocked.
That was the chief one because I did a lot of communication with the one lady who interviewed us, and I'm quite quiet usually. My children at school would say, no, she's not. But with adults, usually I'm quite quiet. But I came across as quite confident over email, and then when she actually saw us, she thought you were me. Because you're very larger than life and amazing. And I like to sit in the background with my cup of tea and just let things happen.
Always been like that. How do you think you being a primary school teacher has affected how you've written the stories and taken inspiration from that?
Well, I think it helps that I'm surrounded by children every single day. So that helps me have an idea of what I want to put across, because I know what I would want my children to learn, and I have an idea of what my children would like to read. But also, being a primary school teacher basically means I have an entire wealth of content. Like, literally, everything I could ever want to write about is happening in my school.
In those
every
four
single
walls.
day. Within those four walls, just magic happens every single day. And not because I'm an amazing teacher, but because the children are so unique in every single way. And it's not even just individual children, it's the families we work with. And it's not even just the families that I teach. It's when we're sat in the staff room, especially pre-COVID, when you're sat in the staff room, you're having a cup of tea, you talk about how your day is going, talk about what you're doing at the weekend, and you naturally sort of become an extension of each other's
you hear about
families.
everybody, don't you? And then I think everybody's experiences then kind of leak into everything, don't they? That sounds really bad, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they give you influences and inspiration for so many things. I mean, just in my immediate friendship group and school family and everything, you've got the divorced parents, the same-sex parents, the parents that are trying to navigate difficult obstacles in their lives, or families that have experienced a loss, or families that have, you know, gained adoptive siblings, and you have the entire world just there. And it's very easy to become very inspired every single day. And just when you think you know exactly how your day is going to go, you know there's going to be a curveball. So
you know how teaching works.
Yeah. So that's my advert for teaching. Be prepared for everything. But yeah, there is so much which can just give you such a creative buzz. So yeah, I think it really does help.
I like that.
I really like this question.
Okay.
So, which character do you relate to the most?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really tough. Cause,
Yeah.
I don't know. If I really had to think about it, I would guess Horatio. Not because I'm like sweet or anything.
You are sweet sometimes.
I think because I love to be around people. I love to be socialising all the time. I love a good party.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, I would say Horatio for that reason. I think more so than the other characters. I think, yeah, definitely him in terms of that. Because, you know this, I'm such an extreme extrovert that's what I love about him. That he's always with his friends and he always wants to be with his friends and he wants to be out and about and doing stuff. So in that respect, I relate to him quite a lot. What about you? Which one?
You're asking now. Oh gosh. Being totally honest, I'd have to say Baxter.
That surprises me.
Baxter the Bat. Because I think it's that moment where Horatio first meets Baxter, and Baxter explains that, you know, he's feeling isolated and ostracised because he's different. I think I could have so easily been that kid, the one that felt ashamed of what they liked and felt ashamed of who they were because they were different. And the only reason I wasn't that was because I had a support system, namely through my Horatio.
Yeah, well...
I mean, just thinking back to when we first met as children at about Horatio's age at school, we just bonded over the fact that we were totally different.
Yeah, I think that we were talking about this before, but I think when I remember we were talking about it, and I said, I think the first thing I said to you was, "Oh, you're the new weird kid."
Yeah, that didn't fill me with the most amount of confidence. I'm not going to lie.
And then I was like, and I just remember being like, I like you. You're not weird. Let's be friends. And that was it. And it's not stopped since.
No.
Really?
No. And we've never gotten more similar.
No.
And we've only grown closer. And I think I've said this to many people before, but I think we are literally like the family that we chose.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And that forced our families to meld together, the most unlikely of families.
Yes. 100%.
I mean,
like, the weirdest cocktail.
Yeah. I mean, you came from a very, well, for a start off, you came from a very modern family, whereas I came from a very traditional family. You came from a family that were very extroverted, and you grew up in a pub.
I did.
Whereas my family were very introverted. And we came from a tiny hamlet on the beach that no one knows exists. And it was bizarre. It was the most unlikely thing to happen. But it was perfect because we just totally accepted each other for who we were at that particular time and just ran with that for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened with Horatio and Baxter. So yeah, I think we picked well.
I think we inadvertently made a story about us. That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, like it's literally the penny's only just dropping.
Yeah, slightly.
Oh,
Scary.
that's amazing. Oh. Why don't you draw the adults in the stories?
Do you know I have no actual real reason? I just made a choice not to. That was kind of it, really. I just wanted it to more be about him. So it's one of those kind of classic things where you just see the legs of creatures, or you meet his mum very briefly in the first book, in Horatio and the Hot Chocolate.
Yeah.
But she's kind of misted by hot chocolate mist, so you don't really see her. And that's kind of the way I wanted to keep it. So either you'll see a silhouette of the adults, or you'll just see like their legs or part of their face, and that's the way it's going to stay, I think. I don't know why. I just chose not to.
I like it.
Okay, so as an author, what do you like about writing short stories?
The official answer is I really enjoy the creative process of having a limited scope in which to tell my story. It's a true answer. The even more true answer is that I have no patience at all. I have so many big, sprawling stories inside me, but whenever I've tried to get them down on paper, I'll get 100 pages in and then I'll get overcritical. And I'll over-edit, and then I'll just scrap the whole thing because it's just not what I want. With Horatio, it's totally different because they can only be 15, 20 pages long.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's the sort of amount of time you're going to have with a child paying attention, because then something else is going to be more important, or you've got the busyness of a lifestyle, or you've got a child who's reading it on their own, and it's a long old slog to go through 100 pages of Horatio, as gorgeous as he is. So it's got to be that short. And so I can whack out my first draft, I'll send it to you, and then that's it. It's out there. And after that, it's about editing. And I've just got to work with the product I've got. I can't be overcritical about it. I've just got to keep on moulding it and making it better and better and better. And so I don't get in my own way.
That's fair. Well, that was good fun.
That was amazing.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. And for sending in your questions. It was awesome.
Yeah, please send us more questions in the comments below. And in the box below, please find a link to Amazon, because we are officially available in hardback.
Really exciting. Also, make sure you check us out on Instagram at Horatio and Friends. And make sure you also subscribe and hit the bell button as well, so you get notifications when we post the next things. See you soon, guys. Bye. Bye.